Shop Time with Dave back at you for another one. Well, if you sneak kind of over my shoulder there, you can see we've been doing a little more painting. But that's not the purpose of this video. We're back on the 1927 John Deere D reverse idler for Kenny Kizzle. So let me show you what we got going on here. So here's the gear assembly, compound gear. I went ahead already and knocked these bushings out. You can see they're pretty well worn. But on some preliminary measurements here, I got some readings I thought were kind of strange at, say, anywhere from 5 to 15 thousandths under. So what I did was grabbed our trusty dial bore gauge, got our mic, and I set it to 1.750, zeroed our gauge at that, slide our gauge down in here, and you can see we're at what, 12 and a half thousandths undersized. Let's see what we got here. About 12. Come up closer to the top, we're at 9 maybe. So this is already going to be more of a challenge than what I anticipated. So let's get on with it. I had thought we were going to get lucky and just be able to use these stock size bushings and drop right in there. Not so much. These bushings didn't already have enough clearance as what I anticipated. I measured this shaft at about 1.49, 1.499, 1.4995, which is what I would have expected the shaft to be for turn, ground, and polish. But I anticipated this bushing being about 2 thousandths over, so there'd be a nice fit. Yeah, it'll go on there, but it fits kind of tight. Tighter than what I would want to run it at. And I also expected that this would be about a 1 to 2 thousandths press, and this would be right on 1.750. But I was wrong. So these aren't going to work. However, I thought it wasn't going to be a very good and educational video to just drop in some bushings. So I had already ordered 932 bearing bronze that we would machine to fit anyway. So at least we have the stock to do this job. So let's get set up in the lathe and get started. Okay, so we're at the lathe. Here's my plan of attack. I'm going to go ahead and dust off the front end here, get it nice and square. Come in, I'm going to put a little witness mark on here so I know how far to move back. We're going to go roughly 2 inches 50 thousandths, and then we're going to turn it down to size, which is not very far off already. We won't have to take very much off. In fact, we are at 1 inch 90. So let's do this. All right, that got us squared up. Now what we'll do is just make a little dust pass on here after I mark my distance, so we can establish where our tool's at and know how much to take off. So let's take a measurement and see where we're at. If you can see that, looks like we're at 1 inch 756. Check the back side. One inch 755. We got a little bit of taper in it, but I think we'll be okay. So basically, what we're going to do is, since that bore is not truly round, I'm going to kind of take the average. So we're anywhere from about 6 to 12 thousandths under. Let's average that out and get 9 thousandths under, and then add 1 to that to make it just a little bit of a press fit. So that would give us 8. So 1,750 minus 8 would come out to 1,742. So let's aim for 1,742. I'll dial in. That should take off about 8 thousandths with this pass, and then we'll check again. All right, so we came out at 747. We're aiming for 742, so we need to take off about 5. Looks like we did about 742 and a half. Got our cutoff tool set. Throw a quick chamfer on there real fast with a file. See if we can get her cut off. You got it. One bushing halfway done. Now we're going to jump over to the mill real fast. You can see we got a hole here. And I don't think it's a very critical hole or anything. Just a place for oil to sit. Well, it spins around on the shaft. So we're just going to pop that in here real quick. We'll start with the center drill. Let's do it. So let's open that up to a 1/2 inch and we're good to go. See if we can knock this down in there. Got a piece of aluminum because it's soft. We'll knock it in there with that. All right, bushings are in there. All right, everybody, we're back at the lathe. And I just spent at least an hour lining this gear up in here. I started out trying it in the 3-jaw, and it was way off. And the thought of trying to shim that, trial and error, just seemed overwhelming. So I switched us over to the independent 4-jaw. Pulled out our trusty dial indicator. Actually, this is a test indicator that reads in 1/2 thousandths. We started over here on the chuck side, and I got her in as close as I could. We're definitely within 5. There seems to be some variation in these teeth. I'm guessing because of the wear. There's no good reference surface on this anywhere. So we just did the best we could. And then, once that was dialed in pretty close, come over to the other side. Repeat the process. Then use this here lead hammer and gently tapped it around until I got this side as kind of centric with this side as I could, and then moved back and forth between the two, adjusting and adjusting until I could get her set. So I'd say we're definitely within 5, if not within definitely 2. In an ideal world, we want it to be dead nut zeros all the way around, but for a 100-year-old gear and a lot of wear and no good reference, I think we did okay. And I believe that there'll be enough slop in the gears that there won't be a bind. So let's get a boring bar set up and start boring these out. Pulled out my longest boring bar. We got her set up. And I kind of touched off in there. Let's see if we can make about a 20 thousandths cut. See how much chatter we get. All right, I can see we're starting to make a cut in there already. Grab the gesso meters, see where we're at. About 1 inch 460 by the gesso meters. We want to be about 1 inch 502. That'll be roughly 2.5 thousandths over what the shaft diameter is. And that'll give us room for expansion as the tractor heats up. And some room for oil to flow around in there too. So I will continue on and bring you back after we get some more passes done on this. A little break in the action so I can show you the progress. We're showing about 8 thousandths under 1.5. We want to be about 2 thousandths over that. So we got to go about 10 thousandths more. Alrighty, here we are. Just finished our final pass. The bore gauge in there. I don't know how much glare you got, but looks like we overshot it by about 1 to 1.5. I tested it when we were at 1.501 and it was really tight. So I made another pass and that's where we ended up. Here's the shaft. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. You can see it still is tight to go in there. Once we get it started, get it through, got just a little bit of wiggle, just a little bit. Man, I think that that's going to work out really good for Kenny. Alrighty, everybody. Well, that's going to wrap us up for part 2 of the reverse idler gear for Kenny Kizzle on the 1927 D. So maybe we can get on to something else. Alrighty, everybody. Thanks for watching. Come back for more Shop Time with Dave.